Welcome back to Harvard. With just 3 months to go until the Iowa caucuses, that's February 3rd, a new poll shows 4 candidates locked in a close race at the top. The poll from the New York Times and Siena College shows Senator Elizabeth Warren pulling ahead with 22 points among likely caucus voters. These are good polls, followed by Senator Bernie Sanders at 19. He's sort of holding there. Pete Buttigieg has moved up to 18. And guess who's in 4th? Joe Biden, the previous frontrunner. But uncertainty remains about which direction Iowans want to take the Democratic Party. 2/3 of them say they still might choose a different candidate than they have now before the caucuses. And late tonight, one campaign came to a sudden end as former Congressman Beto O'Rourke announced he's withdrawing from the race just hours after, or just hours before he's supposed to be talking at the dinner. He's not showing tonight. We're joined by Alexi McCammond, Axios political reporter who's covering the race. She's also governing the race, maybe. Evan McMullin, executive director of the Stand Up Republic and a 2016 independent presidential candidate. Jason Johnson, of course, politics editor for The Root. Let me ask you, Alexi, about this. You're reporting on this race. What do you smell, particularly with regard to the rise, the dynamic of Mr. Pete Buttigieg?
You know, what's interesting about that poll that you just showed on screen is that I've been talking with a lot of Democratic strategists in the last few months who have sort of said the wild card they think is whether and how Mayor Pete Buttigieg performs better than expected in a place like Iowa. A few months ago, I was sort of like, yeah, you know, I don't really know if that's going to happen. But now this poll is sort of confirming these rumors and these ideas and hypotheses that these strategists have been floating for a while now. They think that Pete Buttigieg, especially being from Indiana, you know, a Midwesterner plays well in the Midwest. And we shouldn't overlook someone like him and his ability to sort of surprise people in a very important caucus state like Iowa.
I think he's going to win it. Jason?
I don't think that's a chance in heck. I think it's going to
be... In Iowa?
No. I think Elizabeth Warren's going to win. Mayor Pete is improving because he's got the money and because he's got the connections. I think you have a 3-way split with the first 3 primary states. I think Warren wins Iowa, Bernie wins New Hampshire, Biden blows them all the way in South Carolina, and then there's a mad scrum on Super Tuesday.
Well, I think they're all going to have different. I think Pete's going to win Iowa. I think Bernie's going to come back and win New Hampshire because he's doing really well up there. And if she is lost in the first place, she loses the second one. I don't know who Harry Reid's going to get behind, but I think you're right about Biden. So we agree on one.
Yeah, you know, I don't think Mayor Pete has to win Iowa. Of course, he would like to. His supporters would like him to.
He's showing his movement. Have you seen his projected how fast he's moved?
He's moved in Iowa. He's been moving up. He's been gaining ground for the last couple of months. It's just as much about expectations, I think, as it is about the result.
Okay.
No, well, right.
You're schooling me, but let me ask you. I'm not trying to. You're schooling me. Let me ask you this question: Is a vote in Iowa a real presidential vote, or is it a February vote? I think it's a February vote. It's not a November vote. They don't have to pick the president. They can say, right now, I think the best of the candidates is Buttigieg. I'm voting for him.
Look, I think Mayor Pete's going to have a moment after Iowa. I think even if he doesn't prevail there, if he finishes in the top 3, he's the only one who's sort of below 70 years old. He's proven himself quite capable. And I think that he'll have a moment, and we'll see how he capitalizes on that. He's very, very young, but I still think that he will really arrive on the stage after Iowa completes. I think he'll have a moment.
Well, catch this. A new Morning Consult poll has former Vice President Joe Biden still seen by voters as the best candidate to beat President Trump in a head-to-head. At least that's the way they pick it. The former Vice President leads Trump by 5 points. Senator Sanders leads Trump by 2. Warren trails the president by 1. President Trump beats Mayor Pete by 6. I don't know what to make of this. We're all guessing.
Well, here's the thing. People may not want to pick their president in Iowa, but they are thinking that they want to pick somebody who can beat the president of the United States, which is Donald Trump. So, again...
That's why you don't think it'll be Pete.
Yeah, that's why I don't think it'll be Pete. I don't think people necessarily believe yet. Now, again, if he pulls off some sort of Obama surprise and blows everybody away at 30%...
I bet he gives the best speech tonight.
But giving a speech now in November, that's not the story.
Okay, let's get back to Alexi. Alexi, do you think people are picking, my question at the beginning, is this a November decision, like next November, a year from now? Are they picking the president of the United States or the person who's going to beat Trump? Or are they saying, you know, right now, the smartest of the candidates, the one that impresses me, the one I sort of like the most, is Pete Buttigieg. Yes, he's gay. Yes, he's married to a man. We know all that. That may be a problem in some parts of the country. But me, I'm voting for him because I like the cut of his jib. Is that the kind of decision that they're making out there?
based on the conversations I've had with voters, I think people very much want to feel courted by these Democratic candidates. They want someone who will make them feel something. That might be found in someone like a 37-year-old gay presidential candidate like Mayor Pete. That might be found in someone like Elizabeth Warren, who, although being in the Senate for, 7 years, 8 years, is someone who is new to a lot of people, at least on the national stage. But, one thing remains to be seen, and that's whether and how voters sort of define what it really takes to beat Donald Trump. Is that someone who can win over voters, white working class voters in the upper Midwest? Is that someone who is the so-called leader of the resistance? Is that someone who is a woman? I think it really remains to be seen, but I think voters increasingly act like pundits, and I think this question of electability really has a lot to do with those folks who can win the Electoral College, not just the popular vote.
I think it's a negative election coming up. People want to beat Trump.
Yeah, Chris, I'll just say that, there is this obvious tension between those who, on the Democratic side, who want to see this progressive agenda and this even populist agenda go forward. It's represented by Bernie Sanders and by Elizabeth Warren, et cetera. But then there are the others who are worried more about November. Okay. But what Elizabeth Warren has done is bridged both, and that's what her advantage is in Iowa.
She's doing well among moderates. You're right. Alexi, thank you so much. Alexi McCammond and Evan McMullin. Jason Johnson, who's probably right in his own mind. Up next, November 8th, 1999. What happened on that date? 1999, November 8th. Stay tuned to find out. It matters a lot to this place. You're watching Hardball.
Thanks for watching. To see more videos, click right here, and subscribe.